You sold your soul to the devil. In return, you live off your art. You make love to your guitar and sing to the stars, but the strings, they're tied to your heart. So you take every man and you give him what you can, but you can't settle down, 'cause you gave the devil your hand. Ooh, there's a bitter love inside. Ooh, and it's feeding my desire. Ooh, beautifully cool to me. You sold your soul to the devil when you start believing love. You ventured far to find it, but at last you'd given up. Who needs a man? Who needs a man when you get what you want and you have all you can? So you'll never settle down and you'll stray from this town, 'cause you gave the devil your hand. Ooh, there's a bitter love inside. Ooh, and it's feeding my desire. Ooh, beautifully cruel to me. You sold your soul to the devil, and now you're sitting alone. You and your guitar, lovers above all, the strings that tied to your heart.
Good morning, everyone. The case number is P30M371, United States of America versus Mr. Anthony Roy, Mr. Nick Price, Ms. Gina Bell. Is the prosecution ready for making its opening statement?
Yes, Your Honor. Your Honor, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I want to thank you for presenting yourself today, doing your best to serve our beloved country. I'm here to do the same today by putting away 3 violent criminals. People who literally showed no mercy to a man minding his own business in his home. Our society is better off with them serving time in prison, actually helping the community and not ruining its peace. Remember, each and every one of us has his own Mr. Alfredo, as a father, maybe as a brother, and we wouldn't want such a disaster to happen to our loved ones. So today, me with you, we can prevent more crimes like this from happening in the future by making an example of this people. Thank you.
Is the prosecution ready to call his first witness?
Yes, Your Honor. I call Mr. Alfonso Alfredo to the stand.
Mr. Alfredo, can you tell us exactly what happened on that night, please?
On that evening, at about 9:30 p.m., I was home alone. The rest of my family had gone out. Out of nowhere, 3 people burst into the house. One from the front door and the other 2 from the back door.
Could you please describe them?
Those at the front door were wearing ski masks over their face. The other wasn't wearing any masks. They told me to get down on the floor.
Were they armed?
Yeah, one had a big knife in his hand, the second had what looked like a gun, while the third was unarmed.
So, Mr. Alfredo, you're saying that there were 2 with masks and 1 person without any mask? Is that right?
Yes, Mr. Dennis, that's right.
Could you point at any of the criminals who attacked you that night? Let the record reflect that Mr. Alfredo identified the defendant. Could you elaborate what exactly happened on that night when you were held hostage at your dwelling?
The man with the knife shouted at me and said, "Lay down now, down to the ground." I was held by one of them with a blade touching my throat.
Were they looking for something specific or just aimlessly searching?
All of them demanded money and jewelry. The man without the mask grabbed my wallet, and the two masked person took my watch from my wrist.
Was there anything valuable in your possession?
Yeah, my wallet had about $300, my driver's license, and my credit cards. My kids had just given me an Alba watch for my birthday. They also took the jewelry box.
Thank you, Mr. Alfredo. No further questions, Your Honor.
The prosecution counsel may call his second witness.
I call Miss Maria Salvatore on the stand, please. What's your relation to the victim?
I live next door to Mr. Alfredo.
Drive us through the event of the night, please.
When I heard the dog barking, I looked outside our back window. Then I saw a van parked at the back of the Alfredo's house.
Did you notice anything unusual?
I heard a lot of noises. It sounded like voices shouting and something banging.
What caused you to call the emergency?
I was pretty scared. I wasn't sure what was going on. I was on the phone with 911, telling them about the situation. Then I saw 3 people coming flying out from their backyard.
Okay, were they running away using a vehicle?
Frankly, I have no idea.
Thank you, Maria. No further questions, Your Honor.
Ms. Jennifer Michelson, are you ready to call your first witness?
I called Deborah Brody to the stand.
What's your occupation?
I work at the local convenience store Walcart as a cashier.
Did you see this man before?
Yeah, of course. I see him often. He's a regular client.
When was the last time you saw him?
I saw him at 9 p.m. the night of the accident.
And what was he doing?
He was buying some dairy products, some veggies, and then he just left afterwards.
Did you notice any weird action done by Mr. Price?
No, the same as usual.
No further question, Your Honor.
Mr. Travis Tanner, please call your second witness.
I call Mr. Star Van to the stand, Your Honor. Mr. Van, can you tell me about your relationship with Miss Gina?
I go out with Gina.
Can you tell me what happened that night?
Gina was visiting me the night of November 19, 2020. And she was going to get right home from my friend Anthony at about 9:30. He drives a van and lives close to her. So she was about to meet him at about nearby 47th Street, where he was dropping off a friend.
Can you recall the time?
Neither me nor Gina were sure what time I'm about to meet him, cause her watch was broken. So she left early just in case. But I think that she left at about 9:15.
Thank you, Mr. Van. No more questions, Your Honor.
Mr. Cameron, do you have any questions to the witness on the stand?
Why was Mr. Anthony running with a mask on his face? Moreover, how can you prove that this watch belongs to your dad? Does it have any special marks on it?
I just know that this watch belonged to my dad. That's all.
Do you have the receipts that prove that this watch belongs to your dad? Like any pictures of him wearing the watch? It was so precious to him that he left it for you.
But my dad never wears in a picture.
Where would he wear it then? You said that this watch was dear to him.
Objection, Your Honor. Irrelevance.
Just a watch, man. Tell me about you. Do you have a picture of you wearing every single piece of clothes you have? I think not.
Overruled. Proceed.
Ms. Gina, answer the question.
The witness will answer the question.
I don't know.
I have no further questions, Your Honor.
Mr. William Miller, please call the last witness of the defense.
Can you tell us what did you do for a living?
I have got a part-time job as a pizza delivery boy.
Okay, so tell me please, what happened that night?
I have no idea what was going on that night. Gina told me to pick her up at her friend's place, 47th Street, to give her a ride home. I was to pick her up at about 9:30 p.m. after she left Van's house. She told me to turn the lights off in the van and come and knock at the back door of that house. When I got there,
What happened that night when you reached the house?
I went up to the back door. Then I heard somebody scream inside, and it sounded like Gina.
Describe the situation, the moment you got into the house.
I shoved the door in, and there she was with a gun pointed at some old guy lying in the floor. I freaked out and yelled, "Let's get out of here." We took off, but there was already a car blocking the van, so we ran up the alley.
So did Gina steal anything?
Yes, she did.
What kind of stolen properties did Gina have with her?
Gina gave me something to put in my pocket, and I did. I didn't know it was the man's wallet. She also gave me a knife and a gun, and I tossed them in the dumpster.
How did you feel when your friend got you sold out?
I was so mad at Gina that I decided not to say anything to the cop.
Any piece of information you still wanted to reveal, Mr. Anthony?
I didn't break into that man's house, and I didn't help Gina rob him.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, since we have a lot of proceedings to go through, shall we start?
Well, after all that have been presented in this courtroom, I think there are two criminals at least between the three defendants.
What? What makes you say that?
The evidence, the testimonies of witnesses, everything brought up to the court indicates that this is a crime here, and there is no doubt about it.
I can say it with no hesitation. This man, Mr. Bryce, has a strong alibi. Mrs. Brody vouched for him.
I couldn't agree more.
Gentlemen, please. I don't think Gina is telling the truth about the watch of her father's. Come on. Will anybody back me up here?
No strong evidence has been presented by the lawyers to exonerate her name.
The burden of proof is an obligation on the prosecution, not on her.
What about the wallet that has been found in their custody? This is one hard evidence, isn't it?
Gina is certainly involved. I can say it.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we need to discuss Deborah's testimony.
Proceed with your closing statement, Ms. Michelson.
Ladies and gentlemen, our respected members of the jury, we look at life as something we take for granted. We keep staring into the abyss, but we freak out when it stares back. The way a drowning man fights for breath, even if he has just jumped off a bridge. We are all slaves to destiny. We cannot change what has already taken shape. We look for answers, hoping it would give us our redemption. We want to feel good about ourselves, so we hate others. We look at them like they are beneath us. But what happens when we run out of answers? We have to ask ourselves, is it justice or is it vengeance? I stand before you guilty, as every one of you. If these men deserve to die, then so should we. We could have helped them sooner. We could have been better. I ask you to give me and everyone else a chance to be better, a chance to help young poor men so they don't become versions of our sex selves. I guess the heart never forgets, even if the mind does sometimes. We were born that way. We all good deep inside. It's just sometimes we lose ourselves along the way and we wash it off eventually. I hope we find justice one day, and I hope every one of you always does. Thank you.
We all heard the judge there, and such a responsibility is not easy to handle. So we'll try to be neutral as possible.
It's my first time in the jury bench, so I think an anonymous verdict will be hard to reach.
This is not my first time sitting in the jury bench. I've sat in many juries before. We'll most likely take a preliminary vote.
Okay, let's vote. Maybe we'll do it in a minute.
So, I think we all know we have 3 defendants accused with armed robbery, unlawful trespassing, and breaking into the victim's house. I have to clarify that this vote must be 12 to nothing either way. Anybody doesn't want to vote? So, we will vote now. All those voting that Mr. Anthony Roy is guilty, please raise your hand.
We have 12 votes as guilty conviction. Moving to the second defendant.
All those voting that Mrs. Gina Bell is guilty, please raise your hand.
So we have 7 voting guilty and 5 voting not guilty.
Be seated. Mr. Roy, Mr. Price, Miss Gina, please rise. I have listened to the testimonies, and the court has thoroughly reviewed the record concerning the defendant's trial, including guilt and penalty proceeding, as well as the memorandum submitted by both the state and the defense. The court has also evaluated and weighted the aggravating factors the jury has found to exist beyond a reasonable doubt. This court acknowledged all these factors along with the jury decisions that is consistent with its verdict. Based on these stated facts, we have found Mr. Anthony Roy to be guilty and to be charged with count 1, unlawful trespassing, count 2, the acquisition of a lethal weapon, resulting into a total amount of 25 years in maximum security prison at Southport Correctional Facility without the possibility of parole. Ms. Gina Bill has been found guilty with count 1, unlawful trespassing, which is total amount of 10 years at the Bedford Hills Correctional Facility with the possibility of early parole. As for you, Mr. Nick Price, you have been found not guilty of the 2 charges against you. You are free to leave. This court is adjourned.